Okay, this meeting is starting late at 7:44 as I forgot to get the key to the library. But let's kick off. Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes? Does anyone have any corrections?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Motion made to
Great,
approve the
thank
minutes.
you. Is Liz McCare, gosh,
Oh,
she was going to join us, right?
Oh
yeah, I
dear.
should have. I probably should have reminded her, but my days have been a little chaotic,
Mine
and I'm not
too.
down
Be at the
there.
library? Do you think she'll be at the library?
I don't think so. She would have been there.
I think I have her.
Yeah, I have her. I can text her.
You have her? Yes, that'd be good. I might have it too, but
Thank you very much. Yeah, it'd be a pity if she went to the library. She would hate me even more. She probably
But
already.
she doesn't have a link to the, I don't have her email address, so she doesn't have a link to the Zoom meeting.
well,
She was not sent the agenda.
No, because she doesn't have an email that I can send anything to.
she's
Okay, well,
No.
she wasn't there at 25 too.
We can text her the link. I can text her the link, Bianca. I know
Okay.
she prefers texting, I think.
Okay. While we're doing that, can we just did everyone get a chance to look at the budget report from Gary?
Looks good.
Good. So we have 1353 remaining in our town budget, and we have $699 in our own separate fund.
Gary,
Yes.
I'm pulling it up, but the issue of the repeat on the porta potties is that in there? Oh, pending. That's what you have as pending?
It's pending. I haven't received anything from them. I've not heard from Barbara, but I will check with her. But it should have come directly to me.
You mean an invoice for what already happened?
Correct.
Don't we want to do that again in May? I thought we voted to do it again. Did we?
We did it. We did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how many for May and June? One.
I think yes, I thought that's what we agreed to do. That's one.
Okay. All right, I will follow up with them and add it to pending.
Thanks. That should be another 200, right? 300, presumably.
Do you remember, was it 200 a month or 300?
I think there was 300 or something.
Okay.
Jane, I'm sorry. Did you text Liz or do you want me to?
I texted her phone number to you so that you can send her the Zoom because I'm incapable of sending the Zoom link and being on Zoom at the same time.
Okay.
I know you can do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Gary. Chris isn't with us, but Bianca, do you want to give us a quick review of the 12 Days of Christmas?
Well, I think
nothing.
I think it was received pretty well, and there were plenty of people coming after, the opening still through town. Usually later on during the day when the lights would be down. I think it was overall a good event.
Okay, terrific. Do you think we can get the price down next year?
I would imagine. I mean, I don't think Chris had even anticipated to get the full budget for it. I mean, and he'd mentioned that in the email to us back then. So that we granted the full budget was nice because it made the food free and was kind of like a treat for the town. Anyone that wanted to come down there and have free raclette could have free raclette. I mean, that's basically because the EDC paid for it. And that was kind of lovely too. But I don't think he would have anticipated that at all prior. So,
well, we should think of that. And also, again, I think Chris is going to get together with Richard, see what we can do in Cornwall Bridge for next year, which would be good. Okay. Duncan, do you have anything you want to add on placemakers
Um,
other than the pending
no,
meeting?
just waiting. Hopefully Gordon's gonna get those engineers back soon and we can have another round of,
I think I saw an email saying that they were coming on the 8th of February. Did you not
oh,
get that?
I don't think I saw that.
Is that right, Gordon?
Yeah, we're trying to set something up for early February, Duncan, so I think we should have sent you an email to see what availability is. So that
Yeah.
just went out in the last day or so.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's send that on to me, Gordon. I'll just
Yeah.
confirm. Thank you.
Well,
All right. And then we've got the fact that the shops at Cornwall Bridge have been listed for 399,000. And thanks, Mayor, for distributing the listing particulars. I didn't quite understand the septic situation. They appear to have 2 bathrooms. Does that mean they're fully compliant?
I don't,
Be a
I
question
don't know.
for Aaron Nelson.
Yeah. Because I thought we'd heard originally that there was a problem with the septic. But if they have 2 restrooms, then presumably that problem has been overcome or something. All right. And this was a sorry.
Oh, go ahead. But just
I was just going to say that this property was the subject of.
Here comes Liz.
Yeah, she's,
Oh, I was giving her an out. Is she coming? Okay.
Yeah.
so she can join now.
Hi, Liz. You have to unmute yourself.
I didn't see her.
Hi,
Sorry,
Liz.
guys. Sorry, it's Liz. I know you don't see me because I'm in the dark right now. Hold on. I'm just walking into my house. Y'all have to forgive me. I am packing up a store and it's just been like, oh my gosh. I am so sorry.
No worries.
Moment. But how are y'all?
Don't worry. If you need to do it next time, Liz, you and I were just texting, and you're too busy right now, we can hopefully
Well,
have it next
I'm
time.
good. I just walked
Okay.
in. If y'all are good, I can just
Okay.
let me plug my phone in before it dies. And excuse my messy house. Yeah, no. I'm so happy to join.
Great.
If that's not too late for you guys.
Oh, cool.
No.
And what we hoped was that you would talk a little bit about your business, why you're in
Sure.
Cornwall, and how you find it doing and conducting business in Cornwall now that you've become or are about to become fully Cornwall based.
Right. So, what brought me to Cornwall was when we moved here, and then my estate business was kicking off, and I got the opportunity to put things in the store, the Cornwall Bridge store, and it just progressed one day after the next, and I found, this was a deal I made with the owner, Ivy Cramp, who owns Ivy's Collective in Cornwall Bridge, that, look, I'll put things in here, we'll test it out, and I'll just give you a percentage and I won't lock into a lease or anything. And I found that with the consigned pieces that I had and the provenance and the history that I got by knowing the owners and everything, it people really appreciated that. And it's the people of Cornwall and the people that stopped in who I found moving from Lakeville so receptive to, the human interest part of it. And so it, started growing from there. And when we got the opportunity to, we were just bursting at the seams, to be honest, and had so much more. When Simon Christoph joined me, we had started, I was able to do more of what I really wanted to do, that I had a partner, as far as like the staging and all of that, outside of just the store, any kind of a design and estate services and events and everything. So the big event that we had was last June for my friend's foundation, End of Life House. And I had met so many artists. So she's opening an End of Life house and wanted to make some kind of announcement and some kind of, bang into the Lakeville Salisbury community. And I just said, look, I have met so many artists. If you're going to have an end of life house, you really have to go for something that is attract people, because people in our society, I think, have a problem with anything to do with death and dying. They don't we're not like, hey, let's all talk about death and dying. And so, there's like, no audience left. So I had met all these local artists, and I'm a huge, appreciative of art. And we put this whole show together at the White Hart Inn, and 800 people showed up. We had no idea who was going to show up, but we marketed it really well. And it was the hugest event that they've ever seen, and as far as Salisbury community. So what I'm trying to say is that, I'm kind of scattered, sorry. But so after that, we opened the store, and we got the opportunity, as the tenant was leaving the building in West Cornwall, and we were bursting at the seams. We jumped into that, and Simon has anchored that and has made it so much fun. And it's such a great venue, such a great space. But I think that the where we're really trying to, like, what we're trying to do mainly is to, because we're a destination spot. And I've had articles. We were in the Litchfield magazine, and I've had articles written about in the Lakeville Journal about, or an article written about West Cornwall and its destination furniture design thing going on here with Ian Ingersoll and Michael Trapp and us. And so yeah, so I think that trying to get it out to the so close community of Salisbury, Lakeville, Kent, etc., but yet so far, seemingly, is kind of our goal. And we're kind of slowly and surely getting that crowd. So yeah, I don't know what else as far as what we're doing now. We're having art openings. They're very well attended. We're trying to keep that kind of jibe going with the community, and two events so far since June there at the West Cornwall location that have been heavily attended and so much fun. And that's a really good indicator that this community, and we're starting to get people from the Lakeville, Salisbury, etc. Kent community by having these events. And I think it's important to keep that kind of energy going. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's a real, I mean, that's a niche that I wasn't expecting so many people to respond so well to it. And the artists, and I'm taking a lot of clients individually to artist studios who are buying, and I've done it twice for Tom Bracken, a couple to Tom Goldenberg, and that's so fun. I mean, it's so fun to not only promote them in our store, but to also bring people to their studio who are serious buyers. So I'm just in love with this community so much. I adore it. It's my tribe, but it's also the people here are so responsive and so interesting and worldly and educated, and just the whole kit and caboodle. In my world, it's just been a blast. So I just want to keep that going. I really do, and so does Simon. So
I think that's great. And clearly you're bringing a lot of people to Cornwall, to West Cornwall, which is helpful too. Are you attracting many people from Cornwall itself, or are they still mostly people from Lakeville?
When you have definitely when you have the artists that you're representing, and they're friends and whoever come, that's great, which is always fun and wonderful. But a lot of times people go because it's a friend and they want to support them, but the objective is to sell their art. So how do we still try to gather the community outside of just Cornwall? And I think that's a real, I lived in Lakeville for God, almost 20 years. And I had the same thing, Cornwall might as well have been 10,000 miles away and 2 centuries ago.
Right.
I was just like, no idea. And you always hear about how art, the artistic community around here and the writers and the whatever and the illustrators. But until you really, and I've been so lucky to really get to know that, it's just astounding. Not only the density of artists, but the quality is just off the charts. And how do we let the people know? I mean, that's why the arty party at the White Hart it was almost 100% Cornwall artists. And it was wild because it might as well have been, I mean, nobody in that community was used to such abstract art. And I think it was refreshing and fun and colorful and whimsical and obviously well attended. And we're doing it again this year. So it'll be works on paper, but I think that the main goal is just to get it known in other places that what's going on here, and let it be known in a way that's kind of subtle is always fun. Just having these events and letting people kind of hear about it, and so we're really trying to work with social media and everything to get it out there and make it known what's happening. So yeah, I think that's the main goal is to get not just Cornwall, the Cornwall community, but additionally the other towns surrounding.
Liz, first, oh, sorry. Congratulations, first of all, on how much success you guys have already had.
Oh, thank you.
And your
You
story.
sold your pie crust table.
No way.
Yes.
Oh
Sorry.
my God. Okay, we'll talk. That's crazy. You're so good at your job. What I was going to say is somebody else was talking about this idea, and I just love it. And it just shows that, all ships rise, like instead of competition, it's collective success, because others were talking about sort of this idea of furniture and design and West Cornwall becoming known for that. And I think that is just amazing and could go a lot of places.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's then you weave in the artists and I mean why I think it's so much fun, and not to boast, but in our space to show art, because it's in a setting that makes you feel like, oh, now I can understand this in my house because there's furniture around, and rather than a gallery, which can sometimes feel cold and everybody goes and has their glass of wine and shows up and then they leave, and it's not. If somebody comes back and looks for the sofa they liked or the lamp they liked, they remember the art, and that's how people live. And so I think Michael Trapp has that beautifully done, and he certainly is up there as far as the destination place, and Ian Ingersoll is he. But I love the fact that we're all so different, and we can all still be design and furniture, but so different. And Bianca's store is so beautiful. And so, I think that it's just important to try to figure out how to keep that energy going, and let people kind of, hear about it over and over again to where they come when they normally wouldn't have. So, yeah. And there's so many weekenders and all of that, but there's so many people that are would love to know more that just don't know, that are really close by. Right. So yeah.
Well, one of the things we do at the EDC is try and publicize the businesses, particularly the retail businesses, which are open in Cornwall more broadly, to try and attract people to that. Is there anything that we can do at the EDC to help you, or that Cornwall should be doing to help you? Or?
I think that the things that are already in place, like the Cornwall Day, and maybe kind of get our heads together and think of other reasons to come here. Like if we have Cornwall, when there's Cornwall Day, for example, instead of just all the stores having whatever happens, I think can be so much more. I think it could be really fun. I think there's always people who come and hear music. If you could find some music, if you could find, some other street party type of feeling, and or any other reason. Like, let's say that there's an art show where everything's under $100. I mean, I don't know, any other thing that attracts people to where it's packed out, and I think once people have a good time somewhere, that's just the feeling that they have about the place, So I think that that can be amped up a lot, and I have a lot of ideas for that.
Well, I hope you'll share those with Mayor Rubin.
I will share this with Mayor Rubin.
Yeah.
And Chris Sampson, who's our music man,
Yes.
which is not on the line today. But any help you can give us would be much appreciated.
Yeah. And and just the social media thing, which I'm miserable at. Simon is brilliant. And he posts and posts and posts. But you do get a lot of traction that way. And you just, you have to keep it fresh and fun and exciting. And, he's really good if you all want him to post things. Like he was a graphics person forever. And he just knows how to make things kind of fresh and fun and funky. And I think that's what people want, people want something that looks fun, period, and that's what speaks to people. And then you get them here and then they see, then they have more fun. And then that's, that's a huge hook. And there's lots of things like that. I think that can be,
Has that been
low
your
cost.
main way of reaching people in Lakeville, Salisbury, and so on?
Well, I mean, Simon's really good at that. I'm just got a big mouth. And I lived there for so long. I mean, sometimes it works for the better, but when I'm not retracting. But no, it's just and I have to say the Cornwall Bridge tour with the bakery has been fun because so many people come in there and I'm not shy and I'll talk things up. But and that definitely was the flagship. But this place here in West Cornwall is the mothership. And I know I'm a bit nervous as I'm packing, as I've been doing all day. Oh God, are we going to get the traffic without me sending people there all day long and then when we're open? And I think so. We're doing just as much business when we're closed as when we're open, because people come back for appointment, but you have to remain available. And I think that there's businesses like Michael Trapp who have their whole interior business and their garden business, and he travels the world and it's all interesting. But you really have to know him and who he is to know where he is. And we're new. We don't have that luxury. And so we're really having to get out there. But I think that's fun. It makes you approachable. It makes it makes people feel like they know what's going on. And you have to remind people a lot of times sometimes, so you blast out things over and over and over again. And it works, but it has to be something that people, and not too much, not too busy. But the graphics part is huge. It's like packaging. When you go into a store, you immediately go to the packaging that's cool. I think that's so important. And I'm sure he would be more than happy if there was anything, events or calendar or something going on in Cornwall to make it in a kind of a funky flyer, virtual, and send it out.
Well, thank you. That's a good idea. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Liz?
I think it's great what you're doing, and you've brought so much energy to it, which I think is great. And I especially like, the notion that Lakeville, for instance, is very near and very far. It's true that I think there's something to be said for thinking of the whole Northwest corner group of towns as sort of a unit in a way for marketing and stuff, because you certainly got a fantastic turnout at the White Hart. It was a great event.
Yeah.
And it, in addition to supporting a good cause, it really helped support the artists.
Yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do. So
yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's no success without passion, right? And so, I mean, you get, it's hard for me to support artists that I don't love. And there's so many here that I do, including yourself. But I think another thing that could be fun, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Sorry to take up so much time, but if there was a collective art tour or sculpture tour or something that went from like there's the garden tour and everybody goes from Lakeville to Salisbury to Michael Trapp's to whatever, and goes around, and they do, it's always well attended. If there was that kind of thing, but more for art or design or something where people bought tickets and went, and it would bring all the towns that are close by together. And I think that would be, for one cause, I think that could be a fun idea. Because they're usually, I mean, that's when the people in all those towns buy a ticket and then they go town hopping to whatever event is there. So that could be something interesting to think about.
No, thank you. That's very helpful.
Mm.
We're going to have to move along, but
Okay.
Thank you very much for
Okay.
joining. You're welcome to stay on if you wish, or drop off, whatever's easiest for you.
Very welcome. I'll sign off. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Bye-bye. So just stepping back to the agenda, one of the questions that Jen raised was, the role that EDC can play in attracting specific types of businesses to Cornwall. And we actually spent quite a lot of time talking about that at the P&Z roundtable last week. Jane, do you want to talk about your proposal and particularly the idea of a restaurant?
Well, I think it's a great idea, theoretically, that the EDC could be a little more proactive in trying to attract businesses. But I spent quite a bit of time talking individually to people since then.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out it's not quite so simple because, well, the constraints in Cornwall Bridge are pretty severe in terms of what kinds of businesses can go in. I did speak to the woman who's selling the shops, Andrea.
Good.
And she hasn't had any, hard and fast offers on it at this point. But like any person who owns a property and wants to sell it, they're going to want to sell it to who wants to buy it.
Right.
So it's not such an easy, it's a nice idea, but I don't know how easy it is to implement, which is a little frustrating, but throws us back, I think, to trying to support whatever businesses are there. I did speak to John Windsor, who has the coffee roasting, I thought maybe, because I thought it might be nice if that was visible, if that was up in the shop instead of down where it is. But he's happy where he is and doesn't need to take on more. So I don't know that we can do anything very official about it other than to try and think of people who might have some idea and encourage them. It's tricky to know how to officially do anything, really.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that we talked about at the P&Z meeting really was that, what type of operation do we need in Cornwall Bridge? What type of commercial operation do we need in Cornwall Bridge to get people to stop there? And I think
that it can't really, as far as I understand, it is a very big lift to try and get any kind of food-oriented business.
Right.
So you're looking at retail, or, I mean, what I was thinking is it's nice if you can get the kind of retail in that will support the market, for instance. So, for instance, Mayor, you said you wanted to go afterwards for brunch at the Pink House after yoga. That kind of synergy is very good between businesses. So it'd be nice if there was something there that would, in a similar way, people would then go over to the market, then people see people coming and going. I think it all makes it healthier, a healthier business environment for everyone. But I don't know that we can do much to make it happen except support it if it does happen. And rack your brains if you know anybody. I can quit pottery and start something else, but I'm ready.
Gordon, do you have any views on this? I mean, I think this is probably pretty consistent with your experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, just one thing that I think an opportunity exists to, say, promote some businesses that we really haven't promoted, and probably the biggest businesses in town, like Mohawk and Northeast Building Supply. And the fact that Northeast Building Supply is about to do a major renovation, and that's going to shake things up, but hopefully also bring a lot of people into Cornwall Bridge, and that will also hopefully help the market with another whole. In part, I think the strategy there is to get not just tourists, but tradespeople that can be a huge part of a food business. So, I mean, it seems like there's a potential synergy there, and especially, I think it's been a tough first year for the market, and they are trying to reboot and regroup some of their offerings and things. But I think just promoting all those places, the market and Cornwall Bridge, because certainly they're bringing people in and people are stopping there, but just telling even more people, especially, probably a year's time before the big building happens for Northeast. So in the meantime, just promoting the market now and things to get people there. Because I think sometimes things have to sort of grow organically. You've got to have somebody with, as Liz just say, some passion to do something that makes sense to them, or else they're not going to have the ability to stick with it. Right. And again, we have the other, also the post office is for sale, but that also hopefully will stay no matter who owns the building, and people come there for the post office, and they come to town for Richard's offering. They come to Cornwall Bridge for the bank still. So, I think just maybe double down in promoting some of those places there, because if the market or Richard or the bank would to close, that, again, it's a tough time to have a storefront. But each one of those has their own group of people they bring in for various reasons, and have a pretty good track record of staying in there. So I think maybe regrouping our efforts to highlight, the businesses around, and maybe think of doing that somewhat seasonally. And, continue to play maybe what we call baseball, small ball, just continue to try to cultivate a relationship with Mohawk, because that is, as Rocco said, on a day like today, that is a huge draw of people in. And I think it certainly does help the market, and they're aware of that. So
I have a question, Gordon, about signage. I know that, everybody knows that Cornwall Bridge is down the hill from Mohawk, but is it feasible to have any kind of a sign, like something about the market or about the après-ski part or something, like just a post on the road, so people leaving Mohawk would see it?
I would doubt that's allowed by the current zoning code.
Mm-hmm.
Your signs have to be at your business, and even there,
I see them though
are
out
recording this
and stuff.
I think the some of the signs at the market now probably are in violation of the town.
Right, but there are some little signs out on Route 7 that point, like up in Falls Village.
Yes, we have those. We have those too. We have some on Route 7 that direct people for shops and restaurants into West Cornwall, and there's some at the Four Corners. It says ski area and West Cornwall. That's of course part of the confusion. Where is West Cornwall, and why is the bridge not in Cornwall Bridge? So there are some of those small signs that you probably can do, and the state actually does put out signs for the ski area. They will put out, I think they'll allow some signs generally saying shops and businesses, ahead or something like that. They will not, unless you're a huge thing like Mohawk, they won't probably put an individual business sign up, or allow that on their roads off premises. Is that, that's probably not very helpful, but I know we've had,
No, I just think that
we've had
there's
a
so many cars that leave there. You know, I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity.
yeah, although if they're going, there's a lot of cars that it's a pretty steady stream up Route 7 into Mohawk. I mean, I think it'd be also interesting to hear them. I've got a feeling a lot of their clientele obviously is coming from a drivable distance. If people drive there, they don't take a train or a plane to there. And I think a lot of people are coming out of Fairfield County, so they almost have to be coming down 7 or 4. And my guess is probably a lot of them are coming up 7.
Yeah.
That's 7.
And the market did put out some signs about ski burger or something. And again, it's tough because probably some of those signs honestly are in violation of the local regulations, because some people are pretty fussy about signage. And I think Karen Nelson did declare, they had some open signs, or somebody had some signs. Well, that's not a sign, it's a flag. Okay, well, I mean, that's one way to look at it, but I think that's one of the institutional things that are, pretty fine line, but if that helps your questions.
And the other suggestion that came up at the P&Z meeting was whether we could have sort of shared space, co-ops between smaller retails, if it rather than a single big business, have 2 or 3 sharing it, and if there was any way that the town of Cornwall could help sponsor that sort of thing, which is not something I know we've ever done.
Yeah, I don't see us underwriting rents, for example, but there are there's a couple things we're doing that are sort of business related that I can ramble on about at some point. I have heard that we have been working with the West Cornwall Library, and they're doing a visioning thing that might be pretty important. That's coming up, but there's also talk that they may rent or have some of that space, which is now the Union, maybe for rent for commercial space. Again, getting another anchor business into that space might be a good thing. Do you want me to just ramble into some coming events, or?
Well, sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we are putting together probably a steep grant, which helps business facades. We've done that, a couple rounds of that, and the funding limits have gone up, or at least the grant limits have gone up. So there has been an interest in that. In the past, I'd say we've probably given out several dozen grants with state money to help people that need a new roof or paint or sidewalks or whatever in their businesses. So we're applying for another grant for that. I think as a practical thing, that's one of the things the town has done and can do, channel resources to businesses, especially if they got to do renovations or whatever. So we've got that in the works. We have sort of an interesting thing going on that we were approached by the BBC, Cornwall, England, to do a thing on Cornwall, Connecticut. And
excellent.
And so anybody with the Cornwall, England, we're going to put a thing in the Chronicle. So again, that might get a little spark, and there are quite a few little local connections to.
I lived there for a while.
Well, there you go, to the old country, including Jane. So let's see, we got that. We got a couple of exciting housing things going up that we could publicize. There's an open house coming up this month to look at the land on Route 7 that the Housing Corporation has acquired, and that's going to be a big, potentially big project. So they want to have people come and give input, and so that will be happening, as well as I think the Commissioner of Housing is coming out to do a groundbreaking up on Town Street, where there's a couple of houses that will be built, affordable houses. So, so that is interesting, and there was a couple other initiatives that I think will be coming out of our little working group. I sat in on the housing group, and so there's some initiatives might be interesting to try to get more housing built of any kind in town. There's very little housing being built of any size, and as people might have read in the Lakeville Journal, the median price has gone up over $1 million in Cornwall now for the first time ever. Pre-pandemic, it was $300,000, and there's very little supply of housing of any type, $1 million or $300,000 housing. There's very little rental market. So we have some ideas of how we might open the market up, or some possibilities for multiple types of housing in town, which I think is clearly needed. One positive thing I would share with you, I did a little research on just demographics in the town before that P&Z meeting, and one of a couple of the matrix, we looked at was the school population. The school population actually it's gone back down to what it was pre-pandemic. It's 75 kids at the school. It was up over 100 during the pandemic. But the good part was that the town population was declining for the 10 years before the pandemic. And then it shot up from 1,300 and something to over 1,500. So we gained 250 people, and that population has stabilized and stayed here. Since the pandemic, there's an image that everybody went back to the city. That's actually not true, as Mayor can tell you. I mean, there's a lot of people that everybody knows that have come and that have enriched the town. And you think even people with kids, if the pandemic hadn't happened, the school numbers would even be lower than they are now. So that number has stayed at 1,550. We've gained a couple every year for the last couple of years. So it's sort of interesting. There's a big burst of growth and people coming here. And now because the housing market is so tight, that sort of has shut down. But it's good that we've been able to maintain that population, and in reverse, at least we're going up slightly as opposed to declining. And yeah, so that's sort of the roundup. So there's quite a few events happening. As Duncan said, we have a couple of things going on with the Cornwall Bridge and West Cornwall initiatives and things. So
thank you. That's a lot of good activity.
And then Rocco and I have meetings with the governor and other state officials tomorrow, with other town officials. So there's a lot of interest with what's going on nationally and how that shakes out here in Connecticut. Yeah. So anyway, we don't know all the answers to all that, but I think we're in Connecticut. We're pretty well positioned compared to some other places, and financially the state's doing pretty well. And we're very lucky to have our representatives in there if we have issues that need to be articulated and advocated. Especially Maria Horn is right up there and is all over the place, helping us out with a bunch of different stuff. So it's very interesting times.
Gordon, can I just ask you,
yes.
So if you happen to get 30 seconds alone with the governor,
yes,
what would you ask him, or what would you say to him?
What I would say to him is that I'm very glad that at this point we're a federal republic, that Connecticut has its own, Connecticut's an old place, and it has a history of tolerance, education, environmental awareness, caring about people that are newly arrived, as well as caring about our history. And those values, which I think a lot of people in government in Connecticut share, I think it's really important for us to, our senators are great in trying to articulate a lot of these things, but I think it's really important that our government pay attention to, the needs of its people. We're looking at, the food supplies to the food pantries, the Head Start programs to our schools being in jeopardy. I mean, these are fundamental programs that we have to keep strong for our public interest. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's aware of all this and is on it. He may not be leading the charge on some of the stuff, but I think Connecticut's pretty much has pretty firm ideas of looking after its people and moving things, forward.
Well, let me say, Gordon, that's a terrific message, and God bless you for delivering that. And let me also say, I am continually amazed at how well Cornwall takes care of the people who live here. So you guys are doing a great job there, and I hope that you can continue to get the state to support those efforts.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I think, I mean, that is the thing too, that, I mean, at our little town, we have a lot of social problems and people with issues and need of help, and people that are not able or disabled or whatever. And we're seeing increases in mental health issues, increases of domestic violence. I mean, not huge issues, it's not a big wave, but a lot of things that are playing out are here. And we're trying to do stuff, but it's more and more a challenge to meet those needs. And I think the other big message, I think, is looking after the next generation of Connecticut residents. That Connecticut and Litchfield County have the greatest percentage of 20 and 30-year-olds living at home of any state besides New Jersey. So that says to me that these kids who grew up here, kids who have peers, would like to live here, and we just have to redouble our efforts on housing for the young people, but also the senior citizens. So I think he gets that, and I think the state has some good efforts on that. So, but it's a challenge. This economy is challenging a lot of people.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thanks. Does anyone else have any comments for Gordon? Rocker? Rocker, is there anything you want to add?
Let's see, a couple things here. So yeah, I already kind of talked winter rec. Mohawk's been doing good this year so far. Tubing is something they got into a couple of years ago. And it's been actually quite popular, and it seems to be a good way to get people to the mountain for the first time that might not necessarily ski or snowboard. So that's been popular. And then up at the state park, I met some fat bikers, which is like a winterized mountain bike that has these very large tires on it. And it got me thinking about, some of the things that they've done in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, with biking trails and all of that, because, we have lots of hiking trails around here, but I do see some opportunity maybe in the future for mountain bike trails and that type of thing. Let's see. Yeah, we talked about the small town economic partnership grants in the mix. Municipal solid waste continues to be at a bit of a crossroads, although there's been some progress on that. Budget season's upon us, so we've been busy with that, but things seem to be in a good place so far, looking at the numbers, so that's good. In 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. So we had at our last selectmen's meeting, we had a Civil War, a guy that lives in Cornwall that does Revolutionary and Civil War reenactments. So we've started thinking about that a little bit more. You'd likely form probably a subcommittee or something like that for the big celebration. And there'll be celebrations, across the country, especially across, the state of Connecticut, given our history. So that should be an exciting time. So there's already been some kind of pre-planning around that. We talked wastewater, Cornwall Bridge traffic. One thing we're looking at is a possibility of using what's called SEN, the State Education Network, to deliver high-speed fiber to all of our municipal buildings in town. So we've got a proposal, and we've been kind of reviewing some of the semantics with that, but there seem to be a lot of advantages in terms of speed, cost, and other things. So we've been looking into that. The town planning meeting to discuss the 5-year updates to the POCD went great. Being 41, I was assigned to the youth and community section because I was probably the youngest person there, but it was good. We had some productive conversations. Looking forward to the Council of Small Towns Government. It's a great way to kind of see what's going on with the legislative agenda, and all of that. And a lot of them, you have to hear from a lot of other towns, some of what their issues are and that type of thing. So it's a good time to catch up. We talked St. Creon's Day. I think that's what it's called, the important holiday in England. I don't know too much about it, but it sounds pretty cool, and yeah, we'll know more as this develops. We mentioned the groundbreaking ceremony. I think the only other thing is Cornwall, you know, since we had the highest voter turnout in the state, I believe it was 90% for this last election. Stephanie Thomas, the Secretary of State, is going to be coming, I think, February 13th to come and give us a trophy or a prize. And so we're excited about that. And I think that's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. The last but not least, Maureen, do you have anything you want to add on the tourism flyer?
Do you want me to show? Well, yes, I would like to make a proposal that we do use a graphic designer. I've done my best, and I can do these things on these templates, but it's taking me a long time, and I feel I need the help of a graphic designer. So
Okay.
I can show you everyone where I am with it, and I can share screen if you want me to.
Sure, please.
Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is my design, but I just, for various reasons, I just need, like, it will be, I did engage and get an estimate from a designer, maximum of 3 hours. He charges $75 an hour. And then I looked up to print about 500 of these, maybe $150. So, you know, I can go through this, and then I'd like to propose. I know that's why I wanted to make sure the budget, I don't know if there's other things that, you know, we need to make sure that the budget needs to cover before the end of the year, but about $350 to $400. So just to back up for a minute to remind everyone that this list of retail, the focus on this is retail shops that have open hours, and galleries and pottery shops. So it is not as you know, comprehensive as this map, and there's also no map on it. So this doesn't replace this. It's just a higher level focus on retail. And the idea is for it to be a rack card that can fit inside someday when we make a trifold or fourfold tourism brochure. This can be inserted into that. So, you know, doing this first, at the Cornwall Inn, I was about to call her Stephanie. I just forgot her name. What's the Cornwall Inn? Mark and
Stacy.
Stacy, not Stephanie. Stacy, yes. Stacy just had a good idea, and I just think that, you know, it's not that hard to get this together, although I do need the help of a graphic designer to make it look 100% great, I think. So, you know, so just one side would be shops in Cornwall Bridge, organized by category: food and spirits, shops, antiques, art, pottery. There's a few places, like I haven't heard from Todd Piker yet, so I have to just confirm that he wants to be part of it. And then services would be the gas station and the Iron Bank. Just to point this out, had a little fun with this. You know, where is the historic covered bridge? We know it's confusing, but you'll find it 4.5 miles north on Route 7 in West Cornwall. It's the other side.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I've always been of the thought that we just need to embrace the confusion and just keep talking about it wherever we have the opportunity. So then you flip it over and you get shops in West Cornwall, the, you know, home of the covered bridge. Again, the restaurants, the shops, antiques, art, pottery. And this side has recreation. So the electric bike and Clark Outdoors. So everything it lists, you know, this is where the graphic designer can help me. Like, I was just trying to keep it simple. I'm listing the days that they're open and the address. Maybe there'll be room to add hours. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that people use this and then use their phones to Google, you know. So I don't think we need to cover every single detail on this. I think we need to let people know what's here, what's in the two centers. So that's it. Any questions on that or comments?
One thought, Mayor.
Yeah.
As Rocco was talking about fat bikes, it seems like one of the biggest draws to the town is its recreational. opportunities, and I'm not, you know, what is Americans are better editors than they are writers or something than me, or it's easier to do it. But anyway, is a way to throw in like Mohawk and, you know, the Appalachian Trail or all the
Okay.
trail systems or something, just to throw under the recreation. I would
Yeah,
like,
you know what?
I mean,
That was
that,
the oversight with the
that's also
Mohawk
like
for
a
sure.
way to
Right.
to also include the people who are going to Mohawk, include Mohawk in the brochure, and just throw in the, you know, just some sort of link where you can find all these hiking trails, including the Appalachian Trail, even though it's in Sharon. But
Yeah.
you know, whatever, I just throw out those things as well as the fish, or, you know, whatever you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think one of our big appeals is the outdoors and all the different opportunities that are there.
Yep. No, that's a
Walk.
great. I was thinking very sort of myopically about like the centers in some ways, but
Yeah.
that's an oversight. We should definitely add. I could definitely add Mohawk into here, and I can add some reference to finding, you know, and we talked about this like months ago at another meeting where I had a mock-up of a tourism brochure. The actual tourism brochure that will not list specific businesses, but would list more things like that more specifically and have beautiful photos of trails, etc.
Yep.
So, but I'll definitely add Mohawk here, and I'll figure out how to make some statement about hiking and
Hiking,
where
biking,
to.
fishing. I mean, just all this stuff.
Right.
I'm most impressed how many people are here to do different things. I mean, it's
You know,
Right.
Mayor, hikers tend to know a website called All Trails.
Yep. I mean, and then we have the Cornwall Conservation Trust that does have, you know, the local trails. I could maybe, but I'm getting a little, I'm only, and hopefully you understand, I only get a little pushing back because once I list one nonprofit, maybe somebody's going to complain and want another nonprofit on it. But anyway, that's why it's very shops oriented. It's about retail shops, but definitely I can put on Mohawk, and we can just mention something about hiking and biking.
yeah, 4 season recreation.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
It's wonderful, Mayor. That really is. It's great.
And
Good. So it'll, yeah, thanks. It'll look a little different, even though it looks, you know, it's going to be simple. I'm not saying we have to over design it, but I just need a little help. It takes me too long to make these changes. And so I guess I'd like to propose for both graphic design and printing up to $400 to support this.
Like to make a motion to approve that.
second.
All in favor?
Any objections?
Agree.
Right. The only question I've got is if you're going to pay to print 500, is that going to be enough? Because presumably these things will go quite fast, won't they?
We could do it. How many do we usually print of this, the map? How many?
I think
1,000?
50, I think 1,500.
1,500. Okay. Should we say up to $500? And I have to print it. Do we have enough to say up to $500 for this, Gary?
Yeah, we have a couple hundred remaining.
All right.
You and I can talk further about
Okay.
this if you want.
Yeah.
You know, if the team is okay with that. Sure.
Okay. So maybe we can print 1,000.
And do you envision this being placed at the Country Market, the Wish House, Mohawk?
Yes.
You know, the Cornwall Inn. Yeah. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Hotels,
I mean,
motels.
Yeah. Stacy.
If Mohawk would sign on to handing it out when people buy tickets, that would be an absolute plus.
Right.
I mean, one of us, when we have this, or you know what, maybe when I add them, which is Gordon's good suggestion, I'll email the two folks that came to our meeting and say, hey, you know, we're printing this, we're planning on printing 1,000, but if you would distribute some, you know, maybe we can get them to agree to distribute some. So that's a good idea.
We ought to amend the resolution to up to 500. Any objections? Okay. Good. Well, that concludes the agenda. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up? I don't think there's anyone from the public on, is there?
Nope.
Okay. Guys, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Second.
Fabulous. And we completed this in 58 minutes from when we officially started.
Good work.
Again, apologies for the mess at the beginning, but thank you all very much indeed.
No
Good night.
worries.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.